Jordan Chariton, live. It is Tuesday, April 12th. The year is 2022. Rough day for New York City, and we'll continue covering that. Delighted to be joined. Oh, I just had him. Did we lose Steve? All right. Well, Steve Grumbine will be joining in a minute. So hang on to that. And let me make sure. Lost you. So obviously, I reported earlier in the day. There he is. Are the big tech gods coming after you again?
No, it happened last night too. When I get onto the stream early and the gang ain't there, if some reason or another, the volume doesn't work when I get on, so I have to log out and come back in. So
okay. Steve Grumbine joining us, Real Progressives. We're going to talk about a lot of things today. Obviously, the New York City subway shooting, record inflation, and guess who Biden's administration continues to blame it for. And there might be a link to how much money the Democratic Party fundraised this past in the beginning of this year, and them doing nothing about corporate price gouging. CNN Plus is tanking, which gives me complete delight. And Elon Musk, I don't know, seems like a bit of a hostile takeover attempt of Twitter. We'll see. But obviously, let's start with the latest with the New York City subway shooting. This is from the New York Times. 16 people are injured, including 10 shot in attack on the Brooklyn subway. The police have identified the man, not exactly, but have said he was wearing a vest, a gas mask. They said he's African-American. We know nothing more as far as motive. We don't know, obviously, if it's terror-related or just some whack job. So if something changes while we're live, we'll let you know. I covered it earlier, Steve. You know, before we get to Eric Adams, the New York City mayor, and by the way, smash the like button. Thumbs up right under the live stream. Not much you could say other than this is what happens in a free society. I took the subway in New York City for years. You literally cannot protect every entrance of the subway, New York City buses, trains, not just in New York City, other busy cities. If you were going to, we'd become even more of a police state than we are now. Your thoughts before we get to the mayor's response?
no, I completely agree. I mean, there's got to be a level of measured, safety. But you're taking your life into your own hands. I mean, I don't want to make more out of it than this, but we do that everywhere we go. Every time we set foot in the car, we did the same thing. So I don't know. Only so much you can do.
Right. Eric Adams, who was a New York City cop and basically ran for New York City mayor and frankly won on beefing up the police, even more money. You know, the police in New York have an $11 million budget. Let's hear what Eric Adams in COVID quarantine had to say.
I don't have that.
Oh, okay. Never mind on Eric Adams. Let's see. Let me see here. Let's see here. Let me just send it to you, Colin. Hold on. All right. I just sent it to you, Colin. If you could fast forward to minute and 54 seconds in. We'll do it live.
Criminal justice system, with too many people who I've known to participate in criminal actions still on our streets. And so it's a combined effort, and we're going to continue to do our part. The New York City Police Department has removed over 1,800 guns off the streets of the city of New York. 10% of them were ghost guns. This is a real Herculean task that our police department is responding to every day. As I stated over and over again, there are many rivers that feed the sea of violence in our city and in our country. We have to dam each one of them. And some of that damming is going to come from assistance from the lawmakers throughout our state and country.
No question, it is systemic, and you just named just some of the problems that lead to violence. And you are only, a little more than 4 months into your tenure, so that's understandable. But I'm sure there are people in New York who say, wait a minute, I voted for a former cop to try to stop this, and it seems to be getting worse. What's your message to them?
New Yorkers know every day I wake up to protect the city, and they have trust in me as their mayor, and I have trust in the professionals that are carrying out the job of ensuring that our city is safe. And they're doing that every day. They're putting their lives on the line to remove dangerous people off our streets and dangerous weapons off our streets. And we know we're going to get crime under control. And the problem we're facing is a problem that is hitting our entire nation right now. And that is why this is a national response. We need a national response to this issue. We're going to do our job every day. As I indicated, 1,800 guns. Think about that in New York City. That's when you think about only 3.5 months removing 1,800 guns. We're going to continue to do our job, but there is some assistance that's going to be needed in our city, such as empowering ATF, bring in the ATF leader, as the president announced yesterday, making ghost guns illegal. There's so many things that we could do to assist the cities across America, particularly New York City.
All right, that's enough of that. Steve, I hear a lot of fancy talk and vague talk that really is more police, please. More police, please. He's talking about the ATF and this and that. By the way, a lot of what he has used his police in New York City for is to terrorize homeless people, sweeping homeless tent cities and basically harassing, subway jumpers who, jump over the turnstile without paying, harassing women on the subway. So New York City already has an insane police budget. But in that clip, again, we already addressed, unless you're going to put police in front of every subway door, every bus, which obviously is impractical, more police is not the answer to this. And by the way, it's not just that clip. Colin, if you could show the Newsweek article, Brooklyn subway shooting prompts Eric Adams to double cops on trains. New York City Mayor Eric Adams pledged to double the number of police officers in the city's subway system after several people were shot at a station in Brooklyn's Sunset Park neighborhood. Okay, so you're going to double them now to, I guess, avoid copycat shootings if there were ideas for copycat shootings. But I fear, although this is a tragedy and we hope as of now nobody dies and we hope the wounds are not too bad, this is a Blue Lives Matter basically cop as the mayor of New York, not recognizing at all that a lot of crime is based on economics.
Yeah. I mean, let me just say this. I've been watching this happening. It's cyclical. This is the new, wash, rinse, repeat, grinding out the cycle of gun control. You already hear him talking about, let's just keep it real, okay? First of all, shout out to PE. But the other thing is that when you think about guns, the time to stop guns is before they're in people's hands. This nation has more guns in people's hands than we will ever be able to claw back. So the idea of trying to claw back guns and things like that is ridiculous. Second thing, they needed to do it back in the Flintstone era, because what we've got now is 3D printing. You can go get a couple $100, $1,000 3D printer. You can create a completely usable gun, get a metal pin, and you're set. All of a sudden you've got a gun that can do whatever you want. And so at the end of the day, the idea of gun control is just one of those distractionary things that people, for all the right reasons. I mean, look, there's no question most average people that consider gun control the right move, they're not doing it because they're control freaks. The bottom line is they think it's going to save lives. I disagree, because I think that it just pushes more underground behavior. And I think that it's kind of this whole fetishizing of impeaching Trump. All it was pouring steroids on Trump and made him a god. But ultimately, when you look at this process right here, guns in general, you got to look differently, man. That's a wash, rinse, repeat thing. It's just, oh my God, I'm having flashbacks. But as far as adding more police goes, I mean, we've already proven time and again that the standard vote blue, the blue line, the police lives matter line, is just a crock of shit. Bottom line is we need to really take a look once again at community policing. We need to really understand the economic drivers that cause crime, and we need to stop acting like it's us against them, because the vast majority of people that commit crimes are not these hardened criminals that are just like, born with this defective gene and they're all fucked up. Bottom line is most of these people have been fucked up by the system, and they end up finally hitting a tipping point. And other times people are put into really, really bad situations that my God, you would never want for yourself or your kids or anyone else to be stuck in. So we got to address the underlying problems and stop jumping to let's put people in jail, let's kill them, let's deport them, let's do something fucked up to them. We got to get to a point where we start getting to real solutions. And the real solutions start with having economic justice, start with equality with justice, and start ensuring that we have democracy that works for we the people. Right now, all the underlying infrastructure that causes crime is like getting worse and worse and worse. The idea of beefing up police to crack down, they recognize shit's getting bad for regular people. So their goal, instead of fixing that, is to add more police. I say, fuck you, fuck the police. Right. That's my stance.
And by the way, on a sad day, smash that fucking like button. We got almost 200 people watching and I only have 90 likes. So do it for Steve if you don't like me. Smash that like button, every single one of you. Share this live stream. YouTube is not doing us any favors. They're kind of, sort of, definitely suppressing this channel significantly. So every one of you can smash that like button. Super chats also welcome. I'll read them at the end. I also want to show you, Colin, if you have the tweet, that the New York Police Union, one of the biggest gangs in the country, that they retweeted. The New York Police Union, which has bought off governor after governor after governor, they retweeted this tweet from Shannon Ferry. Students from Sunset Park High School with signs on the windows saying, quote, "Make New York City safe again," and NYPD with a heart, and quote, "Have hope," in response to this subway shooting. I love the kids. They don't know any better. But of course, the New York City Police Union, which you think Chicago is bad, come to New York City. Of course, that's low key for we need more police, more resources, more military weapons, et cetera, et cetera. I want to show you some responses from on Twitter that I thought were noteworthy. This is from Joshua Potash. The 1,000 cops added to Subway by Eric Adams didn't stop this. Then an NYPD captain made the decision not to stop trains and let the shooter escape. And now the police can't find him. Before you call for more cops, ask yourself if they did a single thing to keep us safe today. He goes on, staggering incompetence, which only makes sense when you realize this army of 40,000 with their 11 billion budget. Oh, I was wrong. It's not 11 billion, 11 billion. Isn't about keeping us safe, but about protecting the rich and their property from disorder. The working class demanding a better world. Couldn't really have said it better. Another one, this is from Scott Hetchinger. The Brooklyn subway shooting is serious, it's tragic, and it's just latest incident underscoring the abject policy failure of investing hundreds of millions of thousands of cops on the subway. Yet this tragedy will undoubtedly be used by police to demand more, resist these calls. Well, it's already basically being used by the police, the New York City mayor, who is basically a cop. Then this one I like. This is from Reina Sultan. There are thousands of cops on the subway in subway stations already. They're always fucking around on their phones, arresting people for jumping the turnstiles or harassing women selling food. I can assure you more cops in the subway is not the solution you think it is. So, I mean, we'll see what happens. Hopefully they grab the suspect. Hopefully there's not any copycat attempts. But as we have talked about many a time, Steve, never let a good tragedy go to waste or a good crisis go to waste. And Biden, has definitely pivoted more towards the right in recent months, wanting more money at the police because that's what his pollsters are telling him will get those Midwest Democrats and, maybe those grossed out Republicans, still grossed out by the Trump-controlled Republican Party. Yeah, defund the police is not a popular thing around the country. It's popular with activists and progressives, but with brainwashed older folks, not all older folks, because our older folks in our audience aren't brainwashed, they're against it. But the reality is we're going to see more calls for police, surveillance, military weaponry, because if anything big like this happens in New York City, it affects the rest of the country.
Well, I mean, think about it. Biden isn't pivoting to the right. Biden is the right, and Biden's been the right for as long as he's been in office. Back to some of them grainy black and white videos of Biden talking. Go back to him when he had hair and he wasn't stuttering constantly back, in the 80s and 90s. This guy has been on the wrong side of every issue his entire career. This is like him just pulling off the mask and saying, "Hey, did you miss me? I'm back." And this is who Biden is. So don't stop. Those people that thought they pull him to the left, you literally should take your hand and slap yourself, because that was just a bunch of lies right there. Just smack yourself, please. But as far as this concept of adding more police goes, I mean, if you're looking at an EQ on a stereo and you looked at the amount of crime and then you looked at the amount of economic instability or the fucked up nature of the economy for the poor, you would see there's probably a 1-to-1 ratio. I mean, literally a 1-to-1 ratio. And ultimately, when things get better over here, then this goes down over here. Weird, isn't it? And this is the way it'll always be. So there's no point in us having these constant debates every 3 or 4 years when the next shooter happens, because ultimately it's the same exact effing story, and it's just getting worse. It is really, in my opinion, probably more a shot on us for not sticking with the economic narrative and fighting back against this bullshit austerity that keeps taking over than it is anything. Because until we get the tie-in between economic instability, economic viability, and not being economically viable, etc., until we realize that tie-in, we're going to keep having the same shit over and over again. And what's the definition of insanity? Doing the same shit over and over again, expecting different results. And we do it every time. It's almost like there's nothing new under the sun, and these debates are nothing new. It's just there's going to be another shooter. It's going to happen at some point. Maybe it'll be Oklahoma. Maybe it'll be Washington, D.C. Maybe it'll be Florida. It's always tragic. It's always horrible, but it's always predictable. And it's always predictable because the more you see economic instability happening in regular people's lives, the more you see this kind of stuff happen. And the more you see really, truly astonishingly bad people rise up and ask for more police. I mean, we're talking about the Karens of the world uniting as opposed to the activists of the world uniting. We got to stay on task, folks. We can't keep letting them wash, rinse, repeat this into the spin cycle. Some point in time, we got to say, no mas, enough. Fucking stay on course. Fix the fucking economy, damn it. I mean, that's, to me, that's it. That's where it starts right there. And, Virginia Kotz, she was one of the comments earlier. She made a great point. Where did policing start? Policing was about keeping slaves on the plantation. It was about protecting private property, and it's always been about protecting private property. So what private property are we trying to protect here? I mean, ultimately, you don't want anyone to get shot. Shooting someone is wrong. Never shoot someone. You know what I mean? I'm sure there's some great example of why you should shoot someone. I just can't think of it right now. Bottom line is this shit's going to keep happening, though, until we fix the economic bullshit, this neoliberal paradigm that keeps destroying communities. And it's just going to keep happening. I mean, literally wash, rinse, repeat repetitively.
And by the way, last thing on this before we move on to the record inflation that the Democrats are still blaming on Putin. Be careful, folks, with the term community policing, because community policing just means more policing. That's what Biden means by community policing. Yeah, the problem is these police that are community policing don't live in the communities, don't know the people that they're policing, frankly, have a lot of bigotry and venom towards a lot of these neighborhoods, particularly Black, brown, don't forget indigenous. So when he's talking about poll tested terms like we're actually giving more money for community policing, that's just more policing. So unless the police are building community gardens to bring people together.
So let me tell you something. There is a lot of studies out there that show there's a definition of community policing. And community policing is about people from the community that know each other, that know Joe down the street that runs the liquor store, that know Bobby up the street that sweeps the floors and whatnot, that works at the cash register at the local five and dime or whatever. This is what they're talking about, is knowing your community, being a part of the community, and not just sitting there being like some random, Tron, I must break you kind of cop where you just go in there and everybody's a villain, everybody's under suspicion, hands on the lock, strap undone, ready to go, full metal jacket. I mean, this is the difference between community policing. And they're talking about really trying to ensure that the police look and feel and represent the communities that they're actually within. So there is a real legitimate case for having that nice handshake agreement with the people. That's not what they're doing, though. That's not what they're doing. And I want to be clear that there is a difference, and they're not doing any of it. There's a way of being a part of the community to both serve and protect in the real sense, as opposed to this whole throwback to plantation living. And I think it needs to be stated.
Absolutely. And by the way, welcome new Status Coup member. Jeff just signed up. Woohoo! We love our members. That's how we're funded. I've been on the road significantly more recently. I was down in Florida a couple of weeks ago covering the Don't Say Gay bill and the economic hunger games, i.e. the affordable housing crisis. Obviously, I was just on the ground covering Amazon's historic union victory. I was on the ground. Status Coup was on the ground for a year covering their organizing before they won, when it was not clear that they were going to win, breaking all sorts of stories about Amazon's union busting. We were there because we show up when it's not sexy and when it will not go viral. So thank you to Status Coup members who are supporting our reporting. It's expensive to travel, cover these stories on the ground. That's why so few do. And I hope more of you will consider signing up at statuscoup.com/join. Steve, let's get into your wheelhouse, baby. And again, we'll update you if anything changes while we're live as far as the subway shooting. CBS, inflation accelerated to 8.5% in March, the highest since 1981, when Ronald Reagan swooped in and told us government is the problem. Inflation hit a fresh 40-year record in March as U.S. consumer prices rose 8.5% from a year ago. The Labor Department said on Tuesday. Consumer Price Index, which tracks a basket of goods and services, jumped 1.2% in March after increasing 0.8% in February. Then you move on to Axios. Their headline, Russia's invasion pushed global food prices to a record high. And then you see the chart there, skyrocketing up. We'll talk about whether it's exclusively the Russian invasion. Before we get to other stats and figures, I want to show this. This is from Jeff Stein, economics reporter at the Washington Post. His tweet, real wages fell 2.8% over the last 12 months. That is a larger decline than any pre-pandemic year in the last 40 years. All that talk about the historic economic recovery. Steve, inflation, record inflation. Is it all Russia? Or is it the corporate villains price gouging us at the grocery store, at the gas station, all over the place that Biden won't actually go after because they're depending on those corporate villains to fund their midterm campaigns?
Well, you already said it in the last segment, ironically, and that is that never let a good crisis go to waste. I've said this countless times. Folks, put this into the memory bank, lock it down, and use it whenever it comes up. The fact is that there isn't a demand issue here. We're not dealing with a lack of sales or a lack of productivity or whatever. What we're dealing with is record profits. We're dealing with companies price gouging because they know never let a good crisis go to waste. Hey, the breadbasket of Europe is now under fire and war, so let's drive prices up. And so you notice that their prices are through the roof. Their profits are through the roof, and you and I, our incomes are decreasing. Literally, you saw a 3% decrease in the average wage. That is ridiculous. That is stagflation waiting to happen. That's not just inflation. I mean, we have depressed wages on top of rising prices. That is a really, really bad situation. Now, if you go to the textbook's going to talk about demand pull and cost push and all these different types of inflation. But that is not in the stats. That is not there. There's no proof that we're just driving up the cost because we just want so many things. These people are literally gouging. It is so blatant. It is so obvious. And sadly, let me just say this. Total segue. Facebook is literally blocking any post that goes out there that says that the inflation is caused by price gouging. They literally, the fact checkers are saying that this is wrong, but it is not wrong. It is 100% true. It goes with the same with oil, and it goes the same with food. So
Steve,
don't believe the hype.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but do you mean to tell me that Facebook's fact checkers, which at one point included Bill Kristol's Weekly Standard when that was still a thing, and other right-wing journalists, that those fact checkers are flagging any talk of price gouging?
Maybe. I don't know, man. Maybe. I mean, yeah. I mean, this is a bullshit scam. It is really a bullshit scam. I mean, I have economists' posts that are being flagged as fake news. I mean, people that I know for a fact are not pushing fake news. People that are knowledgeable and brilliant and are fighting for truth that are being flagged as fake news, literally. I mean, yeah. So this is the Facebook scam, man. I don't, what is the point of it all unless you're just simply a front for all these businesses and running interference for them? I have no idea what the point of it is. It's ridiculous.
Right. And to go to your further illustrate your point, this tweet's from Robert Reich, former labor secretary under President Bill Clinton, who set a lot of this in motion, by the way. Meat prices increased by double digits. Tyson's CEOs say they're asking customers to, quote, pay for inflation. Meanwhile, Tyson posted $1 billion in profits last quarter, a 48% increase from the first quarter of 2021. Don't be fooled. This is about corporate greed. It always is. Well, Robert Reich, who I've been trying to get in contact for an interview, but I digress. Well, at the end of the day, you're right, but who is not taking on that corporate greed? Of course, Republicans aren't, but Democrats have complete control now. Biden hasn't lifted a finger for the PRO Act. Biden hasn't lifted a finger to actually push a real wealth tax. He's called for a billionaire's tax, but it seems their MO is putting things out there, the House passing it, because they know it's going to go nowhere in the Senate. So points for trying, but not actually fighting for it.
Yeah. First of all, you can skip most everything Robert Reich says. He's almost as bad as Rand Paul on these things. And just from the opposite angle, you know, Robert Reich, seriously, folks, if you're looking for someone to follow in economics, he ain't your guy. Okay. He gets a couple of these low hanging fruit things right, like what he's saying right here. But he's the first one that'll try and tell you something about, oh my God, the country's going broke. We need to raise taxes to pay for things. He's a fucking joke. But in reality, this is one of those times where the broke clock is right, you know, twice a day. And he's spot on with that assessment. Robert Reich has got it in spades on this one. This is all 100% gouging, and it's all 100% based on our belief that, oh my God, they printed money, they spent all this money, and now we have inflation. And oh my God, there's a war, so now we can pretend like there's a shortage. So, oh my God, there's inflation. Reality is we've got tons of food in this country. We create a lot of food in this country. We export a lot of food in this country. There's no shortage of food. There's no reason for shortages. And you see that they're profiting hand over fist. So don't believe the hype. Boy, I'm breaking out a lot of public enemy, aren't I? So,
well, also, just to, be clear, at the end of the day, inflation in the beginning, there was a supply shortage, and there was a supply crisis due to COVID. Well, that has got improved a little bit over time. And I would say, I'm not an economist, but, we got 5-6% of our oil from Russia. We didn't get a bulk of our oil from Russia. So they don't really have an explanation other than it's the invasion. But it's not the invasion causing the bulk of this. It's the donors causing the bulk of this. As we said, never let a crisis, even one that we're manufacturing, go to waste. I'll also say, listen, inflation isn't always the sitting president's fault. There's geopolitical things, but oh my God, enough with this Biden propaganda, basically calling critics who criticize the record inflation basically in lockstep with Putin. This is Jesse. This is Jesse Lee. Jesse Lee is the senior advisor for communications to the National Economic Council. So pretty high up there. National Economic Council is under the Biden administration. He tweets out blaming. Let me read the tweet actually. Putin and Senator Rick Scott fully in lockstep in blaming Biden for Putin's price hike. So surprising. So again, it's like you get taken down if you add any nuance to the Russian invasion of Ukraine, and you're basically called a Putin ally for actually criticizing the Biden administration on inflation. It's unreal.
Yeah, I mean, I want you, if you guys don't follow it, go to WB Mosler, Mosler, and check out his posts on inflation. He is showing you clearly, he puts the stats, he puts the graphs up there and shows point blank that this stuff is not caused right now by supply chain issues. He's showing you flat out that they're making a decision to gouge. Okay. Now, in a world where people really do allow the scarcity of goods to be bid up and stuff, and you have cost push inflation and demand pull inflation, that's fine. That's not what's happening here. That's the point. They're using the textbook understanding. They're leaning on this thing, and then they're literally, this is how inflation is created by them. If I had a pen nearby, it's like, or a keyboard, let me go ahead and keystroke that into existence. They are literally price gouging. That is literally what's happening. And you see it with rents, you see it with food, you see it with petrol, you see it with everything. Honest to God, it's if it wasn't criminal, if it wasn't such an evil thing, I'd laugh about it. But it's hurting real people. This is a different form of austerity right here. And honestly, Biden himself probably can't do anything by himself on this, but what he could do is push for price controls. He could push for, and actually, you know what? Maybe he could use some emergency powers because of COVID. Maybe he could use some emergency powers or whatever to bring about that pause, or he could subsidize it directly so it doesn't impact regular people, because it's not like there's a shortage. It's really a price hike, and that's it, nothing more. They're reclaiming their ROI for some other thing. And you notice that they have record profits. You don't have record profits if you don't have enough product to sell. You have record profits when you're making money hand over fist and you're stealing surplus value. That's how you do that.
And you know what else he could do? He could strongly call for Americans to boycott Tyson Meats and other companies like that until they bring prices down to the real market. He could do that. Would it be effective? I don't know. But JFK went to war with the U.S. Steel. They backed down. So this is the problem when you have this phony populist talk that I'm union guy Joe, I'm middle class Joe, when you're really just a rich, privileged right-wing asshole. Excuse my French. And the last thing I'll say about this, Steve, just previewing, Shanghai is on lockdown in China. Oh, yeah. Shanghai has been on lockdown due to the COVID variant, BA2. And they say they're kind of, slowly removing it. They're reporting no deaths, which is obviously nonsense. And you can't really trust what China reports as far as data. But this lockdown could further affect the supply chain, thus further inflaming inflation.
Well, further inflaming the opportunity to price gouge for sure. I mean, the truth of the matter is, I find it fascinating that if COVID's a hoax in the U.S., because after all, in the U.S., it's this bubble and everything is a hoax in the U.S., right?
To be clear, YouTube, we're not calling COVID a hoax.
No, we're not.
COVID is very serious, and we have covered it. And that the vaccines are effective. Just putting that in there because YouTube's algorithm might flag us.
Oh my God. Anyway, so the bottom line is that China must be CIA controlled, right? It must be CIA. It's got to be CIA, right? It's got to be a CIA psyop. Oh, wait a minute. It's China, so it can't be a CIA psyop. What the heck? How is it possible? Why are they locking down their city? Oh, my God. You know, at the end of the day, this shit gets so old because there are real things right in front of our faces, real honest to God things happening. But we'll go ahead and we'll distract from the shit. China having a lockdown, I mean, they do things differently than we do in the US. You know, it's not the same kind of thing, good or bad. They do things differently. So you got to think to yourself, if there is new variants and China is trying to keep it under control so that they don't overwhelm their socialized, actual nationalized healthcare system, right? That these people can go to and get seen without any problem. So they don't overwhelm their system. They're sitting there taking precautions, taking measures. You couldn't do that in the US without having a trucker riot or something like that. It's a shame. It's a fucking shame. But that's the real story. They can do things as a country to take care of ensuring that they don't have fucked up things happen. We in this country think suddenly it's a psyop. It's always a psyop, fucking psyop. But no, I mean, I just, it's infuriating.
Colin, if we know how to make GIFs, I would love a GIF of Steve Grumbine. Fucking psyop, fucking psyop. That would be great. Moving on to a lighter story that I really, really love. Let me just be clear and keep smashing that like button. Share this live stream. We have over 200 people watching. Let's get more. I don't celebrate when people lose their jobs, of course, but when CNN tanks, I enjoy it. And CNN Plus, which they have spent hundreds of millions of dollars before it launched, it is apparently, I don't know, a 9-10 hour a day network with extra shows from like Anderson Cooper and Wolf Blitzer and Sanjay Gupta and a Don Lemon talk show and all this stuff. Well, they're already starting to lay people off weeks into it launching. This is from Axios. Big cuts coming for CNN Plus after slow start. Investment and projections for CNN Plus are expected to be cut dramatically in response to a low adoption rate. Basically, signups. Two sources tell Axios. By the numbers, the news giant was initially planning to invest around $1 billion in the service over the next four years. Hundreds of billions of dollars are expected to be cut from the original investment total. To date, around $300 million has been spent, oh my God, on the subscription service, which includes a sizable marketing investment. The news company's leadership team still has yet to decide the ultimate fate of CNN Plus. CNN executives, with help from consulting firm McKinsey, oh boy, Pete Buttigieg's old firm that screws the workers and enriches the corporations more, originally expected to bring in around 2 million subscribers in the U.S. in the service's first year and 15 to 18 million after 4 years. They originally planned for the service to break even after 4 years. Well, let's tell you how they're actually doing. This is from CNBC. CNN struggles to lure viewers in its early days, drawing fewer than 10,000 daily users. Boy, oh boy. The paltry audience cast doubt on the future of the application following the recently completed combination of Discovery and Warner Media into Warner Bros. Discovery. Now, Steve, we could just do this segment, you know, kind of enjoying the demise of our fake journalist enemies. But I think there's a broader point here. Obviously, there was no audience or market for more CNN. It's already down across the board among younger viewers, total viewers, specifically in the post-Trump era. What CNN would love is for Elon Musk, who we're going to talk about next, to get more sway at Twitter, and for Twitter to reinstate Trump, because then they'd have the Trump tweet hamster wheel to go back to and get back that audience they lost, basically reporting 24/7 on Trump's tweets. But this is connected. Why CNN's predictable tanking, CNN Plus I'm talking about, is connected, because why do you think big tech has been suppressing and censoring us and independent media and changing their algorithms to stuff your feed with Wolf Blitzer and Andy Cooper and Maddow and the rest of the corporate gang? Because without basically, if the rate, you know, if we all start at the starting line of the race, without giving them a mile head start, they can't beat other competition because nobody wants to hear the propaganda anymore. And the only people watching the propaganda have been fed it for decades, the older people that make up most of these cable news outlets audience. Again, you know, we have older folks who watch this. Not all older people are neoliberal or conservative gas bags. A lot of them are progressive and in the know. But I think it's striking and kind of explains what's been going on over the last few years. The suppression, the shadow censorship of channels like Status Coup, other channels that used to get millions of views, now getting way less. Me doing exactly what I'm doing here, grew the fastest channel growth the Young Turks ever had. I do the same thing, but double down here. And we're squeezed pretty much all the time in terms of people not seeing our videos and viewers telling me they're not even notified when we're live. So to me, CNN predictably tanking shows you the reason why we've been seeing this, not just from YouTube, but Facebook too, which I know has really gone after real progressives over the years.
Huge. Yeah. I mean, all jokes aside, RP used to have 30 million people a month coming through our door. Now we get hundreds of thousands at best. I mean, seriously, from 30 million to hundreds of thousands. That's I just can't even begin to tell you. And you know, the thing is that, you know, for people like you and I, Jordan, I mean, I run a nonprofit, you run a for-profit, but the bottom line is that we're still a business and they're screwing with business. What happened to free markets, right? What happened to the whole concept of free speech and free markets? They've thrown that out the window. I think you look at someone like CNN and yeah, they're trying to give them the 50-yard head start. All the money in the world can only work if they suppress the voices of truth. And they're doing that with algorithms and they're doing it with dilution. I mean, God knows if somebody, it's like people go to bed at night, they wake up in the morning, they're like, hey, I've got a cell phone. I can be a podcaster. And instantly everybody's a podcaster. And so you got this dilution. I mean, my God, you've got more shows that last for about 10 minutes and they get bored and they go away. So it's not only, you know, the mainstream, the alt media looks crazy too at times, but the fact is that there's no competition. If we were to allow people to watch what they wanted to watch without suppression, they would be drowning. I mean, for real. Again, a little group of us people running around with cell phones, we're reaching 30 million people a month. That's insane. It's insane to be cut like that. So to me personally, I think you see the results of them realizing people are hungry for that kind of media, and you could see it show up everywhere else. I mean, new channels are starting up and they're barely getting any take on it as well. I mean, even the ones that have their own little, you know, internal echo chambers that feed each other back and forth, even they're not getting big. So you can clearly see that the mainstream is sucking wind, and they realize that in order to have any relevance at all, they've got to suppress us. And that's what they're doing.
Right. And this suppression also drives folks who, you know, need to eat, maybe full-time YouTubers or Twitchers or whatever, to basically go for the low-hanging fruit and just do clickbait nonstop. I mean, I've been tempted myself because you want to get people through the door. You want people to click on a video so that they either subscribe to the channel or maybe look around at other videos. But you know, for me, I can't do substanceless clickbait all day to get the numbers up. I wouldn't really be happy or feel like I have a purpose. But that's really, YouTube has made their algorithm, Twitter too, you know, TikTok, you name it, to basically elevate hot takes, reactionary bullshit, and drown anything substantive. Whether you're talking about modern monetary theory, I'm talking about Flint still being poisoned, 8 years coming up on April 25th, or union organizing. I mean, it's really a dystopian system we're living in. And that's why CNN was pouring in hundreds of millions of dollars. Imagine that, hundreds of millions of dollars for basically like, you know, ESPN2, but CNN2, for channels that were already floundering on traditional CNN. And why were they doing that? Because I also think they expected some type of boost from big tech once they started putting CNN Plus clips on YouTube, on Twitter, on Instagram, on name your thing, but they haven't been getting that boost yet because it's brand new. And the proof is in the pudding. Older folks, even who watch CNN as part of their cable package, I don't think they're spending whatever it is to get CNN Plus, and younger folks especially aren't. And this is why it's so important, Steve, and we probably won't see it in our lifetime, for independent media to actually come together and stop canceling one another and actually be organized. If there was an organized network or several networks where people had designated slots for programming, there's a programming grid, Real Progressives, whatever time, Status Coup, whatever time, hosts collaborate, do shows together, debates, whatever. Some folks I wouldn't want to collaborate with just because I don't respect them. But right. For those that merely, whatever, not my cup of tea, but I partake in a channel with them, that's how you compete against a dying industry that is basically being artificially lifted by big tech.
Yeah. I mean, what's sad is that you watch people on YouTube create their promo pick, the pick for the show, which is what grabs people, that and the name, the clickbaity name. And you see, sadly, the shows that are going crazy are the ones that say Crystal owns Nomiki, or so-and-so owns whatever, or, Jimmy Dore slams so-and-so. And it's like flies on shit. It's a shame. It's embarrassing to me that works, but it does apparently. But that in and of itself is also indicative of something even more grim. And that is that people are so beaten down, so withered to the bone, that the idea of actually focusing on what's real is almost as challenging as doing calculus or something like that, because people are just worn out. And I think that we've gotten our ass handed to us in elections so often, and our economics have sucked so bad, and everything about the world around us right now is in such chaos that it's kind of like people are just looking for an escape. And so the idea of alternative media having to be a little bit more entertaining to keep them in line, as much as that may seem annoying, and it is annoying, it's also necessary, because I recognize people are literally at their wits' end. They're if they're not completely checked out, they're really already beaten down with negative shit. And so, unfortunately, a lot of the news is negative. It's not positive. It's not like these world success stories are all over the place to choose from. In fact, I mean, the vast majority of it is really seriously heart-wrenching and negative. And so I imagine that we're up against that as well. I really believe that the soul of America and the world really is ground down to a nub.
Yeah, but I would also say, yes, people want to escape. Even political people watch their 90-Day Fiance and that other stuff. I do with my wife. But I will say, they also aren't being exposed to the substance. So, for example, Kyle Kalinske, who had the benefit, who does great work at Secular Talk, he had the benefit of growing a channel pre-YouTube fuckery for years. And he did a great job and worked very hard and was entertaining and informative. But he had a big audience grandfathered in before YouTube started this algorithmic rigging. Yeah, he deals with a certain level of suppression, but not to the degree we do, right? When he does, I think he's done 2 or 3 times, done a video covering what Status Coup does. We get 2,000 subscribers in a day, and comments start flooding in. How come I've never seen this on YouTube? I didn't know you guys existed. I love what you're doing. More people need to do this. So yes, people want an escape, but they're also programmed to want that escape because they're not being provided videos the same from Real Progressives as they are the hot take machine. Same with Status Coup. So no, I don't necessarily blame the people, because at the end of the day, everybody's going a mile a minute. They're getting notifications up the wazoo from the channels YouTube wants to provide them. And everybody has a short attention span and are working multiple jobs dealing with kids. So they click on what they're fed. And if they're not fed actual on-the-ground reporting or actual educational content like you do, it's hard to get those clicks. Before the last topic, on the topic of suppression, 250 of you, I bet not all of you are signed up to Status Coup's text list. This is a very critical thing that we're trying to grow. if you sign up for our text list, you'll get a text when we're live. This beats YouTube, who notifies you, if we're lucky, 30-40% of the time. So join our text list. It's free. You type in statuscoup.com/text and enter your number, and you'll get a text when we're live. We have seen when the texts go out, our numbers go up. Not gangbusters, but definitely more than YouTube not notifying. So if you want to know when we're live, which is 5 o'clock every day, Eastern time, sign up for our text list so you get a text. Steve, last topic. And this isn't for clicks because I actually think there's ramifications for us on this too. As the Musk turns. So surprisingly, last week, we learned Elon Musk purchased 9.2% of Twitter. So he's the biggest shareholder now of Twitter. Twitter's CEO, who since taking the helm, has very much turned up the heat on censorship, on these warnings. This tweet might make you more uncomfortable before you click. Elon Musk not only took that big share in Twitter, but was named to the board of Twitter. And as part of being named to the board of Twitter, the condition was that he could never buy up the majority of Twitter shares, meaning you could be on our board, but you can't take over Twitter. Well, days after that announcement, Elon Musk is not on the board of Twitter anymore. I'll read a little bit from the New York Times here. Twitter grapples with an Elon Musk problem. Bright and early on Monday, Elon Musk sent the government a surprising new document. In it, the world's wealthiest man laid out his possible intentions towards Twitter, in which he has amassed a 9.2% stake, underlining how drastically his position has changed from a week ago. Mr. Musk could, if he chose, buy more shares of Twitter and increase his ownership of the company, according to the document, which was filed with the SEC. He could freely express his views about Twitter on social media or other channels, the document noted, and he reserved the right to, quote, change his plans at any time as he deems appropriate. Oh, boy. It was a promise, or perhaps it was a threat. Either way, the filing encapsulated the treacherous situation that Twitter now finds itself in. Mr. Musk, 50, Twitter's largest shareholder and one of its high-profile users, could very well use the social media platform against itself and even buy enough shares to take over the company. Quote, Twitter has always suffered more than its fair share of dysfunction, said Jason Goldman, who was on the founding team and served on its board of directors. But at least we weren't being actively trolled by prospective board members using the product we created. The filing followed a week of high-stakes drama between the billionaire and the company. Last Monday, Twitter revealed that Mr. Musk had accumulated stock, now worth more than $3 billion in the company. A day later, he was invited onto Twitter's 11-person board and agreed to not own more than 14.9% of the company or take it over. Then on Sunday, Twitter abruptly said all of those bets were off and that Mr. Musk would not become a director. So I don't like to look into things too much, but this tweet, I think, is illuminating. I don't know who Tank is, Tank TDS, but he wrote, let me break this down for you. Elon became largest shareholder for free speech. Elon was told to play nice and not speak freely. Elon Musk liked that tweet. That was in response to Twitter CEO basically giving a nonsensical explanation of why he was on the board 1 minute and off the board the next minute. Elon Musk, by the way, deleted a bunch of tweets that after he was named to the board, he was criticizing Twitter. Now, it pains me very much to kind of say something nice about Elon Musk because he's a creep and a union buster, and you think that conditions are bad at Amazon. Wait till you hear about what's going on at Tesla factories and safety concerns with some of these a lot of these Teslas that have been called back. But at the very least, he's better than the current leadership of Twitter, which is basically doing the bidding of government and corporations to basically censor anti-capitalists, anti-war, anti-imperialism, and a whole lot of other things in between. At least if he took over Twitter, it would be good on that end. But let's not fool ourselves. If there was ever a general strike or something economic, you bet an Elon Musk-led Twitter would start suppressing in the algorithm and not favoring criticism of those economic protests or progressive candidates or whatever, and definitely burying that criticism. But what's your take on this? Because it seems to me Elon Musk is not, it's not even subtle. Seems like he wants to do a hostile takeover of Twitter.
I'm down. I mean, you're right. It's tough to compliment Elon Musk because he's a bastard on so many levels. But, keep him away from government. I don't want him anywhere near economic matters. I don't want him anywhere near anything that has to do with the environment. I don't want him near any of that. But if you want to take over social media and eradicate the guardrails, I'm down, man. I mean, that was the heyday of Facebook back when we didn't have to worry about being shut down by algorithms. I'm cool with that, dude. Buy up Facebook as well, man. I mean, seriously, I'm okay with that. I mean, this is the one area where his kind of ethos isn't the worst thing ever. In fact, I support it. I mean, this is where a civil libertarian on the left can find some common ground, and it's just that big of common ground, but it's still common ground nonetheless. I'm all for it, man. Let him take over that place because they are a freaking cesspool of neoliberal thought control. I can't stand it. Cannot stand it.
I don't know how fiercely I disagree with you, but I disagree slightly only because of the statement. As long as he's kept away from the government. Twitter is the government. Facebook is the government. Yes. So they have an army of lobbyists that are doing the same as Big Pharma, Big Oil, Wall Street, and they're getting favorable treatment from the government so that they're not regulated. And they are handsomely rewarding politicians. By the way, Chuck Schumer receives the most money from Facebook. His daughter either does work there or used to work there. So do I think Elon Musk is going to take over Twitter? And maybe he'll reinstate Trump and, will be less censorial but do I think he's necessarily going to totally make it a free speech zone for like us and, populist economic talk, union momentum? Let's say Amazon and Starbucks union drives become Walmart, which is the biggest company in America, or you think Elon Musk leading Twitter is going to be all for free speech on that and push clips to go, make sure Twitter's algorithm allows things to go totally viral organically from Walmart strikes, Walmart union drives? Hell no. And Elon Musk, who, by the way, became wealthy on government subsidies, Mr. Anti-Government, he's going to be pushing for further deregulation of social media from the government officials he buys off to.
Just on the off chance that he actually eats his own dog food, right? My thoughts are that ultimately that if he is a real libertarian that he sells himself as, that this free speech thing should be a no-brainer. So if he does do that, it's one of the very few times he and I will agree. But chances are it will be fucked because you're exactly correct. The government has had its hand right up in there as a fucking sock puppet. And these tools are used to collect data on us, as we've already seen through Facebook. And over the years, we've seen how they've used it against activists and they've used it against organizers in general. So, yeah, I mean, it's definitely a risk. But it's at some level, man, it's so, I mean, seriously, isn't it soul sucking to have everything you put out there, all the media you create to be like just tamped down and blocked and muted and not being able to get the reach you feel you deserve after all the work you've put in? I think so. So to that extent, that's the one thing. That's the one thing, man. I'm throwing up one thing. I mean, I hate the guy. I hate the guy, but I'm going to give him one prop that it's got to be better. Can it be worse? That's the thing I'm saying. I can't imagine it being worse. I mean, for real, like the neoliberals that want to push the January 6th thing, the way that they went about that. On one level, you're like, okay, I kind of picking up what you're putting down. But on the other hand, it's like completely myopic because what if the left decided that it wanted to do something, right? Now you've created this situation where the only choice we have is to bow and pay homage to a neoliberal government that cracks down on activists in general. And that's the yin and the yang of free speech and freedom of expression and freedom of, whatever the fuck you want to call it. What is it? Freedom of association, etc. I mean, once they start cracking down on that, it goes both ways. And so in this one case, I got to tip my hat. I would trust Elon Musk owning Twitter more than I do the current people that are doing it now. I'm probably going to get crucified for that, but that's the truth. I probably give him more credit than the people now.
I'm gonna have to sleep on this. We might have to revisit this. But what I do trust,
Spammed.
Elon Musk is 100% going to try and take over Twitter. 100%.
Right.
So he could basically, be a phony free speech guy. Because a lot of these people, again, you're not for free speech if you're for suppressing folks
Agreed.
that can affect your bottom line. So, by the way,
Absolutely.
Rumble, for example, who everybody wants to cheer about. You know who is the biggest shareholder in Rumble? Peter Thiel. You know what Peter Thiel did? He shut down Gawker because they outed him as gay. Okay, that was
Wow.
unpleasant that you were outed as gay. He paid for Hulk Hogan's lawsuits against Gawker to basically bankrupt it. He's definitely for free speech. That's why he bought Rumble. Or is he just for a platform because it's a bunch of right wingers on there and he can make money off of that? And he doesn't care what they say because he's a right winger. So anyway, thank you so much, Steve. Tell us more where we could find you on Real Progressives and your other shows.
Yep. So, Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 12 noon Eastern Standard Time, I do a show on Real Progress in Action. Check out our channel, Real Progress in Action. And that has the Rogue Scholar, which is usually myself, giving you a lesson, if you will. I opine as if we're in a cafe. The next one is I have my Macro and Cheese podcast that I do on Saturdays. It comes out 8 a.m. Eastern time. It's available anytime after that. And also, don't forget, I also do Let's Get Ready to Grumble right here at Status Coup on Thursday nights, 5 p.m. And you don't want to miss any of them.
And by the way, if you didn't see it last week, we now have a boxing ring as a graphic behind Steve. It is badass. You got to watch Let's Get Ready to Grumble at 5 o'clock Eastern. I did it in the bath last week because you give me a little break by going live at 5 o'clock Eastern. But you got to watch Thursday, 5 o'clock Eastern. Let's get Ready to Grumble. It's great. And by the way, support Status Coup. StatusCoup.com/join. We're trying to expand. We're also going to post a video either tonight or tomorrow. We're actually doing a little casting call for political comics. We want to get more humor on the channel, so it's not all doom and gloom. So we're looking for political comedians, satirists to do short videos or even hour-long comedy hours. So if you're a political comic, not like you think you're funny in the mirror, but actually do comedy, and you have a video of your comic examples, email us info@statuscoup.com. We'll be looking for folks, political comics. Let me read some super chats real quick. Kami John, $5. Grumbine, love the hot hat, brother. Thanks for all you do, guys. Thank you, Kami John. VA from New York, $10. Government is the problem when the state is captured by capital. Yes, we live in the United Corporations of America. I've been saying it for years. Tony Dallas, $5. Great job, Jordan. I'm looking into ballot initiatives to get rid of the ban on fusion voting at state level. Ro Khanna's comment on Build Back Better Mansion is insane. Which comment? He makes quite a few. I don't know which comment he made on Build Back Better, but the Democratic Party in general on Build Back Better and folding like a paper tiger to President Manchin has been an embarrassment. And one of the reasons they're going to lose in November. Not that we're in favor of a Republican tidal wave because it could get a lot worse. But Democrats made their own bed. Das Bosch Fleiss, €4.99. I can't invest billions in Status Coup, but I can write a super chat. Thank you. And you do often. So we appreciate it. Das Bosch Fleiss across the pond. Thank you very much for the super chat. And thank you all for watching. We'll be back at it again tomorrow, 5 o'clock Eastern. And remember, we post all day. We'll have another video coming out at 8 o'clock Eastern tonight. And we post our first videos in the morning, usually around noon or 1 o'clock Eastern. But make sure you're signed up for all notifications, not just our text list. Again, our text list, we already told you about. Subscribe and then click the bell for all notifications. If you've already clicked the bell for all notifications, go back and make sure you aren't unclicked because YouTube likes to do that too. Make sure you haven't been unsubscribed because YouTube likes to do that too. Thank you. Thanks, Steve. We'll talk tomorrow.
All right.